I worked really hard on this and I thought I'd share it with you. George Lynch completely goes nuts towards the end of the Kiss of Death solo, and he does this incredibly shreddy, speed-picky, magnificent grouped articulation, ascending, speed-picking thing, and then he just burns the house down, descending. What's really cool about this is I believe that George employed some economy or at least push picking, which is, kind of connecting two adjacent strings with a downstroke. And he's grouping the notes in groups of 5. So I'm going to share with you what that pattern looks like ascending to start with, and then we're going to talk about the descending portion of this, in which I believe George largely played this on one string, believe it or not, because as tried as I have over the last week or so to get that cleanly and articulate and repeatably up to speed, it just doesn't lend itself to being played in position as he descends. So I'll share it with you. Anyway, let's go ascending. The idea is going to be 5 notes per string, but it's going to start off with a slide from C to A. So for illustrative purposes, I'm just going to start on that A note with the downstroke because the picking is the same. Versus, so we're going to have a push and then these notes. So, right? We just finished on an upstroke here. Pattern's going to repeat. Push, starting on the A string. So that's the first 2 chunks. Same idea, stay on the D string. We got 5 notes ascending. Then we follow through from that upstroke to set up a downstroke on the D string to go. That was, so those 2 chunks were, and then we double tap the G string, same note, with a push through to the B string. So as we get to this position, I'm going to roll the tape back. It's going to be, and then the ascending portion is just finished off with 4 ascending notes. Now, we're going to stop there and rewind the tape, and I'm going to show you how that looks in its entirety slowly. Watch the right hand and note the 5 note phrase chunks. So now let's talk about the descending portion of this run. I used to try to play that like this. And I just couldn't own it. I couldn't phrase it. I couldn't get all the double taps right, try as I might. As always, when you're transcribing and you're trying to get authenticity, it's not just about finding the notes and figuring out what was picked and what wasn't, but really on an atomic level, you're trying to find the phrases, motifs that repeat. And we saw those motifs ascending in those groups of 5. When we descend, this is 1 string intensive, and it's like sometimes picking, but it's not cheating, and the phrasing plays out much better when you leverage more of a single string approach. So when we left off, we last went. So we're going to hit this note again, and we've got. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Our phrase chunk, our atomic level is this idea. Same thing happens again. That's a quote-unquote word, right? Then we repeat another word. We're just wearing out 2 notes here instead. So, and those double tapped lead-off notes with the pinky, they're always picked. So to make this work as sort of like just something you're flying through, I think George actually just throws 2 picks down more or less every time he's starting off a word. And it really makes it repeatable. And then we have a finisher, which is... And George is famous for ending his phrases on artificial harmonics. This note at the end of that passage is not an artificial harmonic. And that lends more credence to the notion of that being like a upstroke thing. So let's run the whole thing for old time's sake, shall we? So that's the details. That's really getting in there and getting past just finding the notes and just trying to gut through it. To really understand how these great phrasers and these great passages and these things that are just kind of seared into our memories work, it's really, really worth the time to slow these recordings down and study them, find all the notes, and figure out what made them work and what makes them sound so compelling. There's a lot of stuff packed into that. I hope you found it useful. I always appreciate the watch. Cheers.